Welcome back. Let's talk about the future of World of Warcraft's gameplay. Dynamic flying everywhere. Hero talents, which are basically a light version of subclasses. A new pillar of endgame content for the most casual players out there that will last for years. As close to account-wide everything as we can physically get. Transmog collection restrictions being removed. I mean, come on, a shared bank for all your damn characters that you can craft from. This is the Warcraft team firing on all cylinders. If half of what the team are saying with the War Within is true, this is going to feel like a totally different experience, at least insofar as respecting your time, your efforts, and what you want to do. This truly sounds like an anti-Shadowlands. The most important thing, though, about this deep dive is, in a way, not what Ian said. I think instead it's the energy that he brought, the confidence, I think also the level of happiness from Ian as well. From seeing people at BlizzCon, a lot of the team, they did seem to be very relieved that, like, oh my god, we've announced the thing, which at least feels good. Time will obviously tell, but the most important thing that Ian did say was this.
We want to meet you where you are. We want to respect your time. We want to offer you the ability to choose how you want to spend that time each day, each night in Azeroth.
So that's what Ian said about the philosophy. I like that, and that's also when he brought up the first of two absolutely game-changing features. One of them is Delves, and I'll be enjoying them on today's sponsor. Our sponsor, LG Ultra Gear. I've been rocking the 27-inch 240Hz OLED for over a month now, in between its amazing colors, deep blacks, buttery refresh rate. I'm absolutely spoiled. Nothing else compares. It's the absolute perfect specs for gaming, and it crushes everything, even my lunchtime dives into dusk, which feels amazing on that frame rate and really benefits from those deep blacks. Learn more about this monitor at the link below. Delves, these are whole new additions to the game. Remember when M+ was added into Legion and suddenly the game was not just raiding in PvP? Kind of helped with a bit of that. It's Warlords of Draenor, it's not Raid Night, what the hell do I do? For many players at least. We're getting that, but this time for open world content for solo small groups and for non-competitive players, though certainly it seems that these will scale up pretty far in terms of difficulty. So, they're an endgame pillar, they reward endgame gear up to heroic level from the vault, but they're more about adventure, exploration, and puzzle solving than just traditional grinding killing things. They've got their own progression and power scaling. You get story and lore from Bran, who is going to be our companion character for the first season, and they're building this to integrate with the world. That means that these are instance bits of content, but they're seamless. Basically, imagine a dungeon portal that you go through with no loading screen. Kinda sick. Even the way that it distributes endgame loot involves getting keys from other world activities, and basically it kinda weaves through the whole open world content gameplay experience, kind of putting a lot more of world back in World of Warcraft from what I can tell, which is certainly good, and doing this does, yes, fill the Great Vault, giving you more loot. Tailor-made rewards as well are there, like this customizable flying machine that's pretty sick. Having a companion NPC that it seems they're actually going to a pretty good amount of effort to make like smart and interesting, and being able to do this solo if you want, or in a group of players, this actually looks fresh. On top of that, Ian promised that they have learned from Island Expeditions, Warfront, Heroic Visions, and Torghast, with a bit of Scaravault and sniffing-seeking experimentation being done as well. Of course, me mentioning Torghast may be scary. The good news, though, is this is what Ian said.
It's an alternative. Unlike Torghast, which is something that, we did kind of say, everyone has to do this, whether you like it or not, whether you'd rather do something else or not.
Yeah, so no Soul Cinders again, thank God. It's definitely good that this is basically the Torghast apology for all of that stuff, right? So to sum it up, if you want role-playing game style gameplay with gearing up, leveling up companions, progressing through the different levels and challenges, but by doing world content, solving puzzles, actually engaging with the game instead of spamming endless instanced dungeons under a timer, Blizzard are finally making a whole endgame pillar of WoW for you, something you can do weekly, something that will change from seasons, and hopefully should be a part of the game from now on. Kind of crazy. Dragonflight's world content obviously was a step up from the past, but it still is kind of lacking. Here it seems that, yeah, they're actually putting the energy in to try to solve that problem.
I feel like I could probably just save 10 minutes this panel by just saying account-wide everything and just click through the next slides.
Warbands are the next game changer for WoW. It's sort of a fancy way for them to market everything will be account bound now, where possible. Basically, your character on your account is added to your warband, and your warband shares bank, gold, currencies even. The War Within reps will be account-wide. They will start adding older ones, say Dragonflight ones as well, and basically everything that is considered progress seems to be on your warband for the most part. As an example, think about how it's kind of awkward to gear up alts sometimes, right? You're waiting in catch-up systems that are complicated, or you're finding weird workarounds to get non-soulbound gear. Well, here, they have Warbound gear. Warbound gear is basically bonus gear that will drop that is designed to be funneled to your alts. It'll be just a few item levels below what your main is doing. Obviously no solid numbers, but this means you should be able to hop onto your alts like kind of whenever you want. Pretty crazy. Also, their mock-up is pretty awesome. The way that it puts them into a physical space, I think, is, you know, a little bit of a tease for the future. Now, the account wideness also goes for flight paths, achievements, MOG collections. It seems like they've basically checked everything that they can, and they're making everything as account wide as they can. And they said that going forward, when it comes to like progress, reps, and stuff like that, like by default, for them, that content, it's the same experience. Re-earning something isn't super compelling, therefore it will happen on your warband. This is a great change of philosophy. I think this speaks to a more playable version of World of Warcraft in the future, certainly after being able to do like every different job on one character. You know how it is in FF14. I really enjoyed that. It seems to be getting that energy back here again. And obviously when I think about the future with any player housing, you know, stuff like that, you can certainly, if you have the idea of a warband solidified in-game, get really damn creative. Okay, dynamic flight, I don't think there's a massive amount to talk about here. It's awesome that it's basically there. This is changing and making it official, the kind of locomotion for WoW going forward. You'll be able to drag and ride, okay, now it's called dynamic flight, everywhere from the start, which is really good, but old TBC style flying will be just unlocked as you finish the campaign. No waiting for a few patches or anything like that. Overall then, brilliant. They're also doing a massive amount of animation work to get all of the, or at least as many as they can, of the old mounts working with dynamic flying. Obviously, it's a lot more easy for the ones that use wings, but they're actually putting in the animation work to cover mounts that don't have wings. Okay, one of the big fears of the talent trees, in a way, was complexity. I mean, it took a little bit. Obviously, the tiniest tweak could throw a whole tree off balance. And by now in Dragonflight, I think we're in a really good place with almost all of our talent trees. The thing is though, if you start adding rows, right, add another row every expansion, and you get back to all the old problems we had with these trees. So we're not getting class skins, we're not getting full subclasses. What we are getting is Blizzard threading the needle and giving us something that approximate both in terms of flavor and gameplay, and that is hero talents. These are basically sub-talent trees that you can spec between, just like regular talents. There's no restrictions or anything like that. The thing is though, they're named and they're flavored to give you more of that specialized vibe. As an example, do you want to be a Dark Ranger, Marksmanship Hunter? Now you can. Do you want to be a Horseman of the Apocalypse Death Knight? It's a really cool name, right? Or say a Thane Warrior. It's really cool. Now, Ian telling us straight up on stage that it would be too complex for them to do like, you know, loads of other talents, right? And just keep on going down. But instead they wanted to take a look at like class fantasy and to actually give people those options. That's a breath of fresh air. As an example, imagine if the Shadowlands Covenant powers and stuff worked like these do, and you could just swap between them at any time. Then back in Shadowlands, all those Covenant abilities actually would have been fun things to swap between and enjoy. This is so much better. Now, the way that this works then is you basically fill up those talent trees, right? The way that works though is you can swap between them. This is just a way for them to essentially have a bucket for future class like flavor, options, that sort of thing that they can add to with expansions, but they can add it in a way where they're kind of giving you more and different options rather than just making every talent tree bigger, which ultimately does result in problems if you do that again and again through multiple expansions. And to make sure they get this right, they want to have all 39 hero specs available at the launch of the alpha in this coming spring, so there can be loads of feedback. PvPers, wow, you guys exist. That's kind of crazy, right? So the Great Vault PvP row is gone. You will be getting more conquest, and gearing is basically just what you want. Earn conquest, buy shit. Took us a while to get there, didn't it? They're also adding a new battleground, and I think there is a bit of a promise of more to come. Ian said he can't confirm just yet, but if the 10.2 solo queue RPG experiment is a success, that may be a huge new part of WoW going forward. RPGs actually being accessible to people, that could be a bit of a PvP revival. It is so up my alley and absolutely something I'm excited for. This one's quick. Cross-realm guilds. That's it. Cross-realm guilds are a thing. Cross-realm mythic is now possible in day one because philosophically they said that another one of their goals is to tear down those barriers, making the game social as they can and as easy to play with other people, regardless of server, faction, or any of that. If you want to play WoW, they want to make it happen. That's basically what Ian said. Really damn good. New UI then. There's an improved spellbook. Looks quite gorgeous. It should help people be a bit less confused. The quest log now has filters, so it's not an incomprehensible wall of text. This is just the kind of iterative improvement that is nice to see continue after the Dragonflight update. What about Mythic Plus and Raids? Well, they basically had nothing massive to announce on that front, probably because for those features, the devil is in the detail, right? We need the balance of the dungeons to be right. They did say in interviews they want the actual dungeons to matter more and the affixes less, so that's good to know going forward. Of course, if you want massive sweeping changes, this may not be exactly what you want to hear, but for me, it's basically this. Continue iterating these features, but like, you have dungeon players, you have raid players. I think the likes of, say, trying to shore up the game with delves, get account-wide working. These are the things we need to do to actually get WoW to start growing again and be, well, more enjoyable to a far broader amount of people. If all we do is just think, raid dungeon, raid dungeon, raid dungeon forever, then WoW will always be a small game that's only about raids and dungeons. The future then, I think honestly this all looks really goddamn bright, like for gameplay, and not just for the hardcore and dedicated people, but actually for everyone. I think with Delves, that could really be a bit of a game changer. Now, obviously, when the rubber hits the road, things will change. Alpha testing is what matters. Do not pre-order based on this video, etc., etc. I will be there in the alpha, I think anyway, giving feedback, letting you know what basically is up. I think, though, that in the same way that Metzen kind of set out, they're like, hey, we're going big. We are actually trying to have a long-term plan, and we want to do this right. That's kind of what Metzen set out for story. I think Ian similarly managed to set a good direction for the actual gameplay side of WoW. If they can get this going, I'm absolutely here for it. Alpha will be there in spring of 2024, so we're not going to have to wait too long to see. Broadly speaking, I think they've done a good job executing loads of things with Dragonflight, and that does mean, yeah, I feel like I'm actually beginning to trust that plan. That's it for today's video. Okay, there will be a other big lore breakdown of things coming out on the channel tomorrow, as well as loads of patch 10.2 content. If you want to see all of our stuff as early as possible, check out bellular.ghost.io. That's where our memberships are. Thank you guys for joining up and supporting us. You're building towards that longer, big, sustainable future that we all want. And of course, to help us in the meantime, a big thank you to today's sponsor, LG. All right, that's it. I'll see you tomorrow.